Hi, welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm Chief Alan Rodbell of the Scottsdale Police Department. With me is my community liaison, Chris Vassell.
Good.
How are you?
I was going to say good afternoon. How are you doing?
How are you?
Good.
Good. So we have nothing to talk about.
Oh.
I saw the list of people that are participating in Citizens Academy coming up here in the near future.
Yep.
So this class
That's
is full.
That
class
like
is full.
30 people.
We would
We're
tell,
like a little over.
Okay, so we tell the folks at home that if they're interested in the future, this would be a good time to start thinking about schedules. And next time, it's what day of the week?
It's Thursday nights again.
Okay.
6 to 9, March through April, sorry.
Okay, so think about that. This time we're filled up. This is, okay, what class number is this?
57.
So 57 divided by 2, 25 plus 3. It's almost 28 years of doing this.
Pretty long time.
Long time.
Yes, yes.
We look like we did this for 28 years.
Thank you for letting me.
You didn't do them all.
28
okay.
years.
Anyway.
I have. I used to teach when I was a long time ago. Oh my goodness!
Well,
all right.
I'm glad you're seated.
Thanks.
So, welcome to our program. We're going to do something a little different this time. And we've done something similar to this before, but oftentimes we have parts of the organization on, and we talk about how our organization functions and things that are going on within our organization. Right. We don't often talk about partnerships we have with people outside the organization on issues that might be of interest to our community.
Absolutely.
And so today we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to focus on our teens and our youth.
Yeah, and I think it's really important with all the things that's going on, you know, the texting and the driving. We just have some excellent guests here. One of our officers is a school resource officer who deal with our youth, and we're just hoping to impart some good information to not only our teens but our parents, and hopefully whatever information you get out of this will help and could prevent something really tragic from happening.
How great. Why don't you introduce our guest then?
Oh, thanks. Okay, so I've got Julie Reeves from Health World, and Rachel, how do you pronounce your last name?
Hirsch.
Okay. And Officer David Steele is our school resource officer. Thank you guys for coming today.
Thanks for being part of the program. And Julie, you've been a guest here before, I know, and Health World has been on our program a couple of times already, talking about programs that you do in our local schools. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Great. Well, I'm a product of the Scottsdale School District, so I was born here and have lived here my whole life pretty much. And I started as an English teacher, and then with some of our work through our service learning curriculum on campus, I was working with Health World, and that kind of scaffolded my work into the nonprofit sector. And now I work as an educator for Health World.
So tell us a little bit about what Health World is about.
Health World is a nonprofit, and we provide pre-K through 12th grade students with information they need to make the right health and safety choices. So we offer a variety of programs ranging on that cover a variety of health topics, and just try to get information into our youth's minds and into parents' minds about how to best equip our youth to create healthy lives.
We're going to talk about some of the programs in just a moment, but as we meet Rachel Hirsch from MAD, who I understand is pretty much a recent acquisition to MAD, right? You've recently come on board. And you've spoken to our command staff recently about some of the things going on in the organization, but tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
So I have only been with MAD for the last 5 months, and I actually came over to Mothers Against Drunk Driving from a medical nonprofit organization. And so this is a new realm for me, but MAD has taken more of a focus on creating events, so community-facing events. We have a walk event coming up that I'd love to tell you about. We have law enforcement events where we honor and recognize our law enforcement heroes and personnel in the community. And as MAD was looking to grow that event realm to get more people in our community involved, they brought on my position as a development officer. And so it's been a really great learning experience for me to be involved in that world, which focuses on social issues and, again, like the teens and good choices and community awareness and education about the dangers of alcohol and drunk and drugged driving in the community.
Yes.
And Matt's always been a huge supporter for us in law enforcement as we take, as we do education and prevention, but also remove impaired drivers from our roadways. And so thank you for all that support we get.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome, David. How are you?
Good.
Good. Now, you're one of our school resource officers, but I'm not sure I know what school you're assigned at.
Currently, I'm at the middle school Mojave, but I also take care of my feeder schools, which would be Pueblo and Navajo.
And how long have you been doing this?
It's my 3rd year.
Okay. Tell us a little about your background.
For a police background, this is my 10th year. In October, it'll be 10 years. I was on patrol before that, doing a lot of crime prevention stuff, and then I found out about the school resource unit and started working with that, and and became one of their officers, and I love it.
So tell us a little bit about what your duties are as a school resource officer.
We have a bunch of duties. I take care of any of the crimes that happen around my schools with any kids, so that takes some of that off of patrol. We're also deal with kids every day, so we know how to interact with the kids, know how to do the investigations, and we take everything from child abuses to simple thefts. The other big part is mentoring the kids, working with the kids, so they get to see a different side of us besides just what they see on TV right now, especially with all the negative stereotypes. We do a lot of teaching as well, talking about social media stuff, trying to teach the kids, good behavior and try to steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, I know you become very much a part of the school community and the school staff. So we've got a really wonderful program with school resource program, both in the Scottsdale Unified School District and the Cave Creek Unified School District. So thank you for that. Julie, tell us about some of the programs that you have to offer.
Great. Okay, so the program I work most closely with is our Teen Safe Driving program, and that's in partnership with the Allstate Foundation. And what we've done is compiled a bunch of resources that are available for school resource officers, teachers, student leadership groups to kind of become informed about the issues that affect teen drivers. And then ideally, our best model is we work with the student leader groups on campus to decide, okay, how are we going to reach the rest of the student body with these issues. So a lot of times they'll come up with a week-long awareness campaign where they're looking into some of the issues specifically that impact their demographic. So if it's at a middle school, for example, we have a lot of middle school students that might ride with teen drivers. So it's knowing the issues that, hey, if you're a passenger in a teen-driven car, are you making sure you're not a distraction? Are you making sure that you're wearing your seatbelt? Because we're finding that still a lot of teens, whether they're drivers or passengers, are not buckling up. So it's working with students and kind of getting them invested in the issues and getting them to realize that even though car crashes unfortunately have been the #1 killer of teens for quite a while now, it's still not going away, and new distractions are popping up. But ultimately teens and new drivers are still at a really increased risk of crash. So we're trying to just educate teens, get them while they're young before they start driving, get them while they're new drivers to really pay attention to, okay, what are these issues that impact us?
Including the distractions and the texting,
Yes.
and the answering the phone or the radio too loud or paying attention to the passengers in the car, not to where you're driving. And the #1 is speed.
Exactly. So speeding is a factor in 1 out of every 3 fatal crashes. And then we actually have a video clip from the Allstate Foundation that we're going to show that kind of gives an overview of the main issues that impact teen drivers. But the amazing thing is, speeding is still an issue after all of this time. Lack of seatbelt use, like I said, is still a big one for passengers and drivers. And then distractions, especially those caused by other passengers. So we still work with, of course, cell phones are a huge distraction, the makeup, the eating, the music. But other passengers in a car can become a huge source of distraction. And of course, teens are already at greater risk because they're inexperienced. So any distraction is going to magnify, their vulnerability. And so we just want to kind of keep reminding teens that driving is a huge responsibility. It's a rite of passage, but it's definitely a huge responsibility, and there's behaviors that they can make a habit of that are going to give
Keep them and everybody else safe.
Exactly, yes. And it's not just them, in their car, it's other people and other kids crossing the street and, that they need to be thinking about.
Yep.
Now you're also you're utilizing the new technologies, and you're actually teaching online courses.
Yes, so teachers can use our programs that are delivered online. They're streamed into their classrooms to educate maybe through a health class or maybe a student council group or an AVID group or some sort of club. Even we've worked with SAD clubs. So they can view our program online. And then what we would do is offer them extra support if they want to get involved in becoming advocates. So we want to empower them, okay, now that you know these issues and that you've watched our curriculum online, what can you do about it? So one of our most popular models is we'll partner the school with a local Allstate agent who will come out and they'll actually set up at what we call an X the Text booth, where they pinpoint the distractions caused by cell phones while driving as an issue they want to really get their school on board to avoid. And an agent will come out and bring a big banner, and students will come by and they'll put their thumbprint on the banner or sign it as a commitment to avoid not only texting while driving, but now it's Snapchatting and Facebooking and all those other things. And this is especially helpful for older teens, because new data has just come out that actually older teens are more likely to overestimate their driving abilities and text message while driving and Facebook while driving and use Snapchat while driving, because they've gotten past that sensitive first year after driving area that's so dangerous, because it is very dangerous. You know, from age 16 to 17 we see a huge increase in car crashes just because of the lack of experience. But then what we find is if you're a senior in high school and you've gotten by unscathed, unfortunately you tend to think, okay, I can, you know, be less diligent.
I could be multitask oriented.
Yeah, so the texting campaign is a really good one because it just reminds teens, you know, no text is worth risking of life. There's a simple way to avoid increasing your crash risk, which texting does. It's just to X the text. So this is an example of a kit that we would give to a student group, and then it has a banner and giveaways and ink to make the pledges. And like I said, we try to partner an all-state agent to be out there as well. That can also qualify the club, the student group, for a grant from the foundation, but it also just helps bring another person from the community out that says, hey, this is an important issue. We care about you making the right choices, and it's something that's relatively simple. You know, turn off your phone, put it in the back seat, put it on silent, just don't respond. So all sorts of ways just to kind of keep it in the forefront of teens' mind that, you know, distracted driving is an issue and it's avoidable.
Correct.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll put some information down below with your contact information, the website, so the parents that are out watching this that might be interested to knowing more, and teachers as well, absolutely, teachers as well, can look you up. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Rachel, so tell us about what kind of programs you've got going with MAD.
Well, particular to this time right here, we have programs that address youth such as middle school and high school students as well as parents. So I think when we think about going back to school, you think of kids returning to school. But for us, there's a big piece of parents addressing their kids who are going back to school, especially in that middle school and high school range, where they are facing that increased peer pressure. They are facing, you know, the options of maybe getting together with their friends and consuming alcohol, particularly before they're 21, or even facing those risks of getting in a vehicle with someone who's maybe not only a distracted driver, but also has been consuming drugs or alcohol. And so we offer programs, particularly now related to going back to school, and then we make a big push in the spring around prom season that address, they're called Power of Youth and Power of Parents, for youth and parents obviously. And with the Power of Youth programs, we go into schools, we have programs for sports teams, Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops, anybody that falls within that middle school and high school range, because we have found that talking to teens sooner rather than later, while they're still in high school and still facing that peer pressure, is really beneficial in helping them abstain from drinking alcohol until they're 21 and making those smart choices. So we have that for the Power of Youth, how to stand up to peer pressure, how to not get in a vehicle with anybody who has been consuming drugs or alcohol. And then on the flip side of that is we have programs that we offer to parents in terms of when and how to talk to their teens, rather than coming from maybe a rule-making standpoint to say, I want to have a conversation with you. I want to open up this conversation. What are some of the peer pressures you are facing? What are some of the instances that maybe you feel uncomfortable? So rather than laying down those strict rules and guidelines and shutting off your teen, we're actually really encouraging that type of open communication.
Dialogue.
Yeah, to say, as a parent, we're here to be a resource for you, and we want to keep you safe, and we want to tell you how to navigate peer pressure and the positive benefits of abstaining from alcohol until you're 21. And certainly not drinking and driving, but waiting until you're of the legal drinking age. And how do you face those kind of, I guess, pressures or concerns as a teenage person, especially even in middle school. Sometimes we see people participating in drinking alcohol with their friends, and how to address that much sooner rather than later.
So scary.
It really is, and I know that for parents, because I was a parent of children growing up, and I, you just sometimes don't know how to have that conversation, and there really aren't many resources out there back in the day to teach you how to talk to your children, and so that's a wonderful resource to have. How would a parent that was interested in that program find out about that program?
Certainly. So I would welcome everybody to visit our website. It's just madd.org. They can call our local offices. We have an office in Phoenix and in Tucson, but they can reach out to us, and we have a trained team of people who teach these classes and offer these classes. And our phone number in the Phoenix office is 602-240-6500, and we have a full-time programs team that is available to go out and give presentations or teach these specific classes. So parents can have that opportunity to learn, not that they shouldn't set rules and not that they shouldn't have rules or discipline, but to encourage those type of conversations and to teach them how to do that.
Exactly.
Many years ago when I was a young detective, we had some drug issues in our community back east, and we created parent peer groups. And all parent peer groups were is that parents whose children spent time together, played together, and young adults were together, the parents didn't know each other. And so they're often at odds and not knowing.
Where's Johnny staying?
Yeah, and
what house
he's
is he at?
with Bob, and not knowing Bob's parents. And so
Exactly.
we encourage parents to start talking, reaching out and meeting each other and coming together. And when that happened, what we saw was the kids were like more under control because they couldn't run that game of, I'm under somebody else's watch.
Right.
And so I don't know if you still encourage that. That's an old concept from years ago, but it was really quite effective. And it was just parents getting involved. And being aware of what's going on and knowing the current information and the current concerns and the resources that are available to them. So I think that's wonderful as both your organizations put that information out. So thank you. So we look at middle schools, of course. We're already hearing that there's some issues already in the middle school age group. How do you use these kinds of resources in the classroom or the hallways?
Anytime that I can get guest speakers, the kids always love that, so I try to get them to come out. It can be anybody from you guys, from your two different organizations, to the governor's office, to anybody that can speak about. Maybe we get a special unit to come out as well to talk about what they're seeing. The biggest thing that we see right now is the internet stuff and the social media stuff. Like if you ask a kid, do you have a Facebook account, they tell you that's for older people, not their age. Everybody's on all these new apps, from Snapchat to Instagram to Musical.ly, and a lot of the parents don't even know what they are. They're not inside. They don't go inside their apps. They don't look at it. And it's not the creepy guy down the street in the van saying, "Hey, I have candy or puppy" anymore that you got to worry about. It's the people online. Those are the predators that are preying on these kids, and they'll do anything they can to get in touch with them. And the kids don't understand the difference between internet friends and real friends. They think that the person they're talking to on the internet is a kid, when reality it could be a 40-year-old guy or a 40-year-old woman trying to lure them outside of their house to interact with them and try to steal them away. So I constantly tell parents, you need to go through the cell phones, the apps, click on a calculator, because it's probably not a calculator, and figure out what they have in there to protect them.
It's so much more complicated for parents today and kids today and drivers today than it was in days gone by. The whole portable, communication systems that we used to. First of all, we didn't have. Then you had to plug them into and carry them in a bag. And now, of course, everybody has one. We flash lights up in the sky.
It used to be 10 cents, I think.
It's a nickel at one time, but let's not go there.
Sorry.
So anyway, so there's a lot more challenges, and so it's really a question of parents getting involved in it. And of course, the parents that many of the young children, the parents are of this generation, they actually get that, but there's are tweeners. The things are moving so fast, technology's changing so quickly, the parents can be left behind pretty quick.
And I think what I've seen, and SIPAS has done a lot of educational programs. We've had some fantastic speakers come in, and our detectives that do these internet crimes and stuff like that. And like, I'm in the back room and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't hear that. No, oh, that one's old. That was yesterday. This is how quick these apps and things are coming up, and parents tend to think, oh, not my kid. It might not be your kid, but it might be your kid's friend who's going to influence your child. So you need to know that information. I think information is power, and as you know, Officer Steele, that's what you guys try to empower with the kids, is just letting them know the dangers out there, as well as you ladies, for being so supportive of giving parents this information that was not available to us,
Right.
Chief. It was
Yeah.
not. We would have the teacher, we'd have the principal. We didn't have all these wonderful resources, and I think people should take advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree. So Julie, you do more than just in terms of impaired driving and drugs. You also have a program called Keep Your Health on Track. And I know that once a year that program is done at McCormick-Stillman Railroad Park. And what age group goes to that program?
So that's for second graders.
For second graders.
So,
And we're trying to build a base, is what I'm getting at, as early as second graders in understanding health. And so what issues do you deal with?
Exactly. So that program is fun because we invite second graders from Scottsdale schools, and they participate in kind of a condensed version of a bunch of our health and safety programs that would be appropriate for second graders. So they rotate through little stations and they're learning topics at each one. And so they'll learn anything from tobacco prevention to how to keep yourself safe from germs to the importance of physical fitness and nutrition. We have one on diversity and respecting diversity. So just a whole variety of standard-based health concepts that they can just learn in a really fun, hands-on, interactive way. And they're outside at a park and get to ride the train after, so it's a great thing.
And we're setting sort of a baseline understanding the world around you and your health and the things that impact on your health, so that when decisions are being made later on, either taking something into your system, either drugs or alcohol, there's impact on that. Smoking cigarettes, and we talk about during that program. So that's a great baseline. Do we do things baseline for our young folks to the MAD organization?
I think that one of the biggest things for us is this Power of Youth program that we have, and getting into middle schools or being guest speakers and giving those type of presentations. That I think is a large part of it for us, because rather than waiting until you're a sophomore or a junior in high school, and by that point, honestly and sadly, people have encountered drugs or alcohol or these other type of peer pressure based issues that they can engage in, and maybe they have engaged in. So for us, a big piece is now getting into middle schools and talking to students and young teenagers sooner rather than later.
Right. We've always found that if you get kids to make decisions in the safe surroundings of a classroom or the family, and they internalize those decisions, when someone suddenly pops it and says, hey, you want this, they've already thought through their answer, as opposed to being surprised and not knowing what to do and being pressured. And so that's really a great concept for developing young folks in decision making, especially in, again, stressful situations such as being pressured to do something they may not want to do.
Yeah.
And so what kind of prevention programs are we doing at the local schools?
Anything and everything. I know we have like Youth and Family Service come out. They'll do different events with the kids. Like we have your guys' organizations, we'll have them come out. But we'll try to touch on everything, because like the big thing now, the kids don't really smoke cigarettes anymore, they do vapes. And with the vaping stuff, if people don't realize, they can be like this big, the size of a USB drive. Some of them are magnetic, so the kids can hide them underneath things, clip on things. But the kids think because they're vaping, it doesn't do anything to them, it doesn't hurt them.
There's chemicals in there.
There's chemicals in them, and we sent a bunch off to the county this year to be tested, and a lot of stuff in it is really harmful, and it's not that hard to pop open, say, for example, a Juul full of marijuana or whatever else, so you don't know what's in these, but they think since they're doing that it doesn't hurt because it's just vapor.
Because it's just vapor, it's not
but
tobacco.
It's actually worse, and the kids don't understand it, so we try to tell them that as well. Same with the alcohol stuff, we keep talking to them, this is what can happen, and we have to keep going younger and younger, because now, like maybe years ago, you had to try to get the middle school. Now you got to start even going down into the 5th graders and 4th graders, because they know what it is. Same way with, like I was saying, the social media stuff. The kids in 5th grade can get on a computer and find anything and do anything, so you got to make them aware that sexting is illegal. The whole dating game with kids is different now. It's not you go out on a date or talk to each other. Now they're starting to send pictures, so they need to know, hey, you cannot do that. That's illegal. You can get in trouble for that. And it kind of opens their eyes when you start talking to them about that stuff. Yeah.
And in terms of the computers, it's almost amazing. My granddaughter, who's 6, we don't have TV at the moment because we're moving from a house into a house we're renovated, and so we don't have any service yet. And
But she could get Hulu and
She
everything on the
wasn't at
computer.
all.
She can
She
stream
wasn't.
stuff easy.
She wasn't concerned one bit. I mean, I don't know what happened on Game of Thrones this week, but she's sitting there just going to town at the breakfast table, and
No, they're so smart.
she's left the house. I mean, my point is the kids have left the house,
Yes.
and their world out there, and you have to monitor that world and be aware of it. But they're very quick to be able to do that, and that's how they occupy.
Second grade isn't second grade anymore. I mean, when you think second grade, you think of little kids playing with Barbies. They are very smart and wise and savvy and can get on computers so easily. I actually have my granddaughter sometimes help me. She's 12. It's like, how do I get there? You know, and she'll navigate me. But it's crazy. They are very apt and very smart.
So one thing we want to tell parents, we've done this before, we want to tell parents that, you know, when you've got your prescription drugs and you're through with them, you need to dispose of them in the right way.
We have areas to do that.
And we have all the district stations have drop box where you can, no questions asked, bring them in and drop those drugs off. They'll be disposed of properly.
Correct.
Don't put them into our water system.
No.
That's the last thing you want you to do is dump them down the toilet and flush them, because that's our system. Bring them in and get rid of them that way. But don't leave them laying around for what you may need them sometime in the future, because they'll go out of date, they'll change chemically to something else, strong or weak or different. And we certainly don't want them to be picked up by the children who think
And
that
pass
they're
around in school.
and pass around school. So not using them, dispose of them, be cognizant of your inventory, you don't disappear. But we tell kids that, and parents as well, because that's one thing they can do to help us tremendously.
Absolutely.
So anything up and coming in the near future that we will make parents aware of? This program is being shown, what month am I in? Help me.
September.
This is September, okay. And so anything going on in the very near future in September, November with any of your programs?
No, we're ongoing throughout the entire
Okay.
school year, so we'd love to get youth teen safe driving campaigns out in any of the schools or community groups, any area that works with teens. We're happy to do it September or beyond.
Thank you so much.
For us, we have our largest community-facing event coming up. It is Saturday, October 21st. For us, it's called Walk Like Mad. And I have successfully recruited a Scottsdale Police Department team. So we have corporate sponsors there, we have law enforcement personnel there, we have friends and family members of people who have been impacted by impaired driving, whether they have themselves been injured or lost a loved one. And so it's a really wonderful day. It's at the Phoenix Zoo. The registration fee comes with a t-shirt, admission to the zoo for the entire day. And we really invite the community as a whole to get involved. It's impactful to have corporate teams, law enforcement teams, friends and family teams all walking together, truly walking to take a stance against drunk and drug driving.
Wonderful. Is this the first time you've done this?
This is my first event, and
Okay,
I'm
wonderful.
very, very excited.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be a great event. We look forward to participating. Thank you so much for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Anything going on in schools other than the fact you've just started the new year?
The sporting events and everything are starting, but just like wherever you're at, doesn't matter if you're the high school, elementary, or the middle school, reach out to your SRO or reach out to the school and the PTO, because we're constantly doing stuff. I know I've already been contacted by Mojave. Their PTO wants to put together a social media thing, because we did that last year, and then everything will probably be a little different than last year because everything has been updated. I know there's even a new app talking about it's almost a Tinder for kids that somebody created, which is scary.
Yes.
But we're going to be doing that soon. So wherever you're at, whatever school you go to, just contact the school or contact the PTO or contact your SRO, and we'll let you know when we're doing a presentation.
Thank you. I want to thank all three of you for being
Thank
our
you
guests.
so much for being our guest.
Thank you for letting the public know a little bit about what's going on in our schools and in our neighborhoods and communities. And we appreciate all that you're doing to keep us all safe. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That'll end this month's program. Thanks for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you next month on Behind the Badge. Thank you so much.
All right.